You bank where you've always banked. The logo on your debit card has been the same shade of blue since you were 19 years old. You don't remember choosing it. Your mother used the same branch. The savings account earns 0.01%, you've seen the number, you've felt the small flinch, and then you've closed the app. The thought of moving accounts feels exhausting in a way that has nothing to do with paperwork. Your paycheck arrives Friday. It leaves by Tuesday. You search, how to save money, and click the first 3 results, all of which you've read before, all of which feel comforting in their repetition. You scroll Instagram. The same investment app advertises again, the one with the green logo, the one your coworker mentioned, the one you keep almost downloading. You feel a low electrical hum of inadequacy behind your eyes. Researchers studying decision-making have a name for this state. Your brain is treating financial decisions the same way it treats faces in a crowd, the ones you've seen before feel safe, even when you have no evidence they are. Familiarity is being mistaken for competence. You don't know this yet. You just know that opening a new tab to compare bank rates feels, somehow, like an act of betrayal, toward whom, you couldn't say. You close the laptop. The blue logo glows on your phone. You go to bed. Level 1 complete. But here's where most people stay. You're standing in the cereal aisle at the grocery store. Your hand has already reached for the box you always buy, the orange one, the one your father bought, the one whose jingle you can still hum. There's a generic version, $2 cheaper, identical ingredients. You read the label. You put it back. You take the orange box. On the drive home, something irritating happens, you catch yourself. Not the cereal. Everything. The route you took. The gas station you stopped at. The podcast playing because it's the one you always play. You start counting, and the counting doesn't stop. Same coffee shop. Same lunch. Same brand of toothpaste since 2014. Same checking account. Same job, in the same building, with the same yearly 2% raise that doesn't keep up with inflation. The pattern has a texture now. You'd never noticed the texture before. There's a faint tightening in your chest, not panic, more like the sensation of looking at one of those optical illusions and suddenly seeing the second image. Neuroscientists who study habit formation describe this as the moment when automatic behavior briefly surfaces into conscious view. The system that was running the show steps into the light. You don't know what to do with this yet. You drive home. You eat the orange cereal. But tonight, lying in bed, you open your phone and you do something you haven't done in years. You search, Best High Yield Savings Account 2026. Level 2 complete. But here's where most people stay. The search results load. There are 17 articles. You read the first one. It recommends 3 banks. You've heard of one of them. The other 2 have names you don't recognize, and even though the interest rate is 40 times higher than what you currently earn, something inside you resists. You scroll down. You open a second article. It recommends a slightly different set of 3 banks. Again, 1 familiar, 2 not. You spend 40 minutes doing this. By the end, you have 8 tabs open and a strange, frustrated tiredness. You haven't moved any money. You haven't opened any accounts. You've simply been searching for an article that would tell you to choose the bank you already half recognize. You're not researching. You're hunting for permission. There's a name for this in the literature on decision-making, confirmation bias dressed up as due diligence. But underneath confirmation bias, something older is operating. A 1968 study by Robert Zajonc showed that simply repeating exposure to a stimulus, a nonsense word, a Chinese character, a photograph, caused people to rate it as more pleasant and more trustworthy, even when they had no memory of having seen it before. Your brain is doing this right now, with bank logos. It is mistaking screen time for evidence. You close the tabs. You tell yourself you'll decide tomorrow. You don't. Level 3 complete. But here's where most people stay. It's a Tuesday afternoon. You're listening to a podcast in your car, different from the usual one, by accident, and the host says a sentence that lodges sideways in your chest. We don't trust what is true. We trust what is repeated. She's talking about advertising. You're hearing it about your money. The mere exposure effect, you learn over the next hour of reading, isn't a flaw in your character. It's a feature of an old brain, the same circuitry that helped your ancestors decide whether the rustling in the grass was the predator they'd seen before, or something new. Familiarity, to that brain, equals survival. Novelty equals risk. Zajonc's findings have been replicated hundreds of times across faces, sounds, words, even abstract shapes. The effect is unconscious. It is automatic. It is happening to you right now whether you want it to or not. And here is the part that arrives like a small detonation: every advertisement, every logo, every paycheck deposit notification, every bank app icon on your home screen has been training your nervous system to find your current financial life trustworthy. Not your behaviors. Not your decisions. The architecture beneath them. You sit in the parked car. The engine ticks as it cools. Something has rearranged. The problem was never that you lacked willpower. The problem was that your sense of safety was being manufactured by the very things keeping you broke. Level 4 complete. But here's where most people stay. The next morning, you do something small. You don't move your money. You don't quit your job. You don't make a vision board. You open the high-yield savings article from 3 weeks ago, and you read about the unfamiliar bank, the one with the name that meant nothing to you, for 10 minutes. You look at its logo. You read its history. You watch a 2-minute explainer. The next day, you do it again. By the end of the week, the name has stopped feeling foreign. The logo has acquired the faint warmth that the blue logo always had. You are deliberately, consciously, manufacturing familiarity. This is the inverse of the trap. If exposure builds trust without your permission, then exposure can be steered. Researchers in habit formation describe this as a kind of prospective familiarization. You give your brain a head start on tolerating the next version of your life. You add a podcast about index investing to your morning commute. You follow 3 accounts on social media whose content is about long-term wealth instead of disposable lifestyle. You don't act yet. You expose. 6 weeks in, you notice something quiet. The investment app you've been ignoring no longer feels intimidating. Its interface has acquired the texture of the known. You open an account. You move $300. It is the smallest possible action. It feels, somehow, inevitable. Level 5 complete. But here's where most people stay. 3 months in, a test arrives. Your car needs a repair. $1,200. The old pattern surges up like muscle memory: pull from the new savings, retreat to the familiar checking account, cancel the experiment, return to the version of yourself you've always been. You feel it in your body. A tightening in the jaw. A small, almost embarrassing relief at the thought of going back. Your bank's blue logo, on cue, feels like home. The unfamiliar high-yield account suddenly feels like a stranger's apartment. This is what researchers studying behavioral relapse describe as the pull of the consolidated network. Your old neural pathways have been reinforced for years, the new ones, for months. Under stress, the brain reaches for what is repeated, not for what is optimal. You sit at the kitchen table. The estimate is on the screen. You do something that feels almost rude. You leave the savings alone. You put the repair on a card. You pay it off over 2 months from the next paychecks. It is not elegant. It is not optimal. But you have refused the regression. You have told your nervous system, in a language it understands, the new life is not for emergencies to dismantle. The new life is the floor now. You go to bed. The unfamiliar logo is on your phone. It is becoming, slowly, the new familiar. Level 6 complete. But here's where most people stay. A year passes. The transformation is not dramatic. There is no montage. There is only the quiet accumulation of repeated exposures, each one a thin layer of myelin around a new behavior, each one making the wealthy decision a fraction more automatic than the broke one. You have, without quite noticing, restructured the input stream of your life. The first podcast you hear in the morning is about compounding. The first finance term you encountered last week, duration risk, you now understand without effort because you've seen it 11 times. Your phone home screen has been rearranged. The investing app sits where the food delivery app used to. The brokerage logo is now the one that feels like Blue Card from childhood. Behavioral economists who study the formation of financial habits describe this as the slow conversion of System 2 deliberation into System 1 automaticity, Kahneman's framework, applied to money. The wealthy do not, generally, have more willpower than you do. They have a different baseline of familiarity. The actions you find effortful, they find boring. You catch yourself in a small moment at a dinner party. Someone mentions a stock. You don't feel the old flinch. You don't pretend to understand. You ask a specific question. You hear yourself ask it. The voice sounds, faintly, like someone you didn't used to be. You go home. You don't journal about it. You just notice. Level 7 complete. But here's where most people stay. Years in, you operate differently. You no longer fight your brain's exposure machinery. You aim it. When you want to enter a new financial domain, real estate, business ownership, equity compensation, tax strategy, you don't psych yourself up. You don't read one book and try to leap. You begin a quiet, deliberate program of exposure. Podcasts on commute. Newsletters in the morning. 3 people followed on a professional network. 2 events a year, even when you feel like you don't belong. You let familiarity do its slow, ancient work, and by the time you take action, the action feels obvious, not brave. This is, you have come to understand, the actual difference between the wealthy and the not yet wealthy. It is not intelligence. It is not appetite for risk. It is the willingness to engineer your own sense of normal. The mere exposure effect, which once kept you locked in a checking account earning nothing, is now the engine of your expansion. You curate your inputs the way a gardener curates light. You introduce one new domain a year, knowing that within 12 months it will have lost its strangeness and within 24 it will have become part of who you are. You sit on the porch in the evening. The phone is in the other room. Your nervous system, finally, is on your side. It took years. It also took only one decision, to stop letting repetition happen to you, and to start choosing what gets repeated. Level 8 complete.
Take a slow breath in. Notice it leave. What you just learned is simple, but it cuts deep. The mind mistakes familiarity for safety. The fund you recognize feels safer than the one you don't, even when the numbers say otherwise. That preference isn't reasoning. It's exposure. Let that settle. Feel your chest rise. Feel it fall. Your default mode network is already weaving this insight into the background of how you see your portfolio. Picture the version of you who pauses before each decision. Who asks, quietly, do I prefer this because it's better, or because I've seen it before? That version is calm, unhurried, already inside you. Anchor this in your breath. Carry it back into the video. Watch the next frame with new eyes.